Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. Boy, tonight we got you a great show, as always. We got things going on. We're going to be talking about this book here again, The Medicine of the Sun and the Moon. And if you haven't seen that, I am going to pull that up for you right now because, hey, I can do that kind of stuff. And then you can really see the cover. But thank you all for joining me tonight. It's always good to have you all here. This has been a pretty good little book. I've enjoyed it so far. We're going to get into some other books and fun things, whatever. But this is a good learning thing, especially this time of year. It gets you to think about planting things and what you could do for spring, so that you can live a good, healthy lifestyle, gathering these herbs and things in case you may get sick, or Chinese medicine and how they've studied it for thousands of years. Now, no way am I a real doctor or anything. I only play one on TV here. So anyway, getting right into it. I just like I said, this is the book. You can check this out here. I'm going to show you what it looks like again. Share screen, entire screen. There we go. There you go. Medicine of the Sun and Moon by Manly P. Hall. He brings up a lot of good things. Like I said, we were talking the other day about the different herbs. We were talking about medicines. We talked about all kinds of things. The doctors, how they didn't get paid unless they were actually healing you. As you can see, medical herbs, it's green medicine. Put it that way. I think they got it right here. Green medicine. Medicine from the earth. Healing yourself or having somebody else, a doctor, heal you, but sometimes trying to find out what's wrong with you inside. Teas, herbal medicines. The Chinese been doing this for thousands of years. It's called alchemy, where they mix up different things. Learn about stuff. Oops, did that one. Eating the right foods. Drinking soup instead of heavy foods. How regular their medicine versus Western medicine, and how it affects your body. The yin and the yang, the balance that we go through. I'm just reviewing all of this. Like I said, the yin and the yang, they've been studying it for hundreds of years, or thousands of years actually. Different herbs. I don't know what these all are, but they're different. They take dried things. What is it? What is an herb, and how do you get it? You dry it, or whatever. You crush it. You take the oils or essentials out of it. You liquefy it, and you just take a little bit of that herb to heal your body. More Chinese stuff. The wise man always getting acupuncture is another thing you can think of. As you notice, he's doing on your foot. There's a lot of things on your foot. Your foot has thousands of nerves. Foot massage, all the things in your foot control all the rest of your body. Now, if I knew how to read Chinese, I would tell you what this says, but I don't. Hundreds of different herbs to help you with all your bodily functions. Everything in nature is there. You just got to learn how to use it. Acupuncture, different pinpoints on your body that could help you out. Traditional Chinese medicine, joint manipulation, homeopathy, therapeutic massage, nutritional counseling, dietary supplements, acupuncture, hydrotherapy, life counseling. You notice how they have life counseling, nutrition counseling, counseling. Doesn't say just go out and do it yourself. Herbal botanical preparations. There you go. And you can identify some of these things on the table. That we know is to be mushrooms. This looks like some dried roots. This could be some garden vegetables, some other leafy plants, ground up herbs, cinnamon. I know that one. I don't know what all these other ones are. Cloves. I think this is cloves. Somebody else might know more than me. Ginseng root. I know that. Makes a lot of tea. Tea is good for you, man. I tell you, I love tea. We got different elements. Metal element, water element, wood element, fire element, intention, earth element. Well, let's get on from here. Where did we start the other day? Or stop? I think we should be able to finish this up. This book is small. Okay, the symbolism of the sun and the moon is deeply involved in the treatment of their various elements. One type of old remedy had a tonic effect. The Chinese used such medicines to impart virility and are supported the heaven energy. They were composed of materials associated with worship of the sun, radiant, powerful, and vital substance derived symbolically from obvious evidence in nature that certain animals, flowers, plants, and even minerals possessed. Get that? Even minerals possess solar principle. The solar principle, gathered into various connotations and medications, was used to strengthen solar power in man. The second type of medicine which cleansed. These remedies, having to do with the quality of the moon, were used to purge the system of toxins, poisons, and other accumulated wastes. The Chinese said philosophically that in the process of human life, two things are necessary. One is the continual strength of principles, that is the solar medicine, and the other is the continual excretion of corruption, that is the lunar medicine. Philosophically speaking, the solar medicine would reflect new and better ideas, creative interest, everything that impeds toward new life, new purpose, causing us to gain enthusiasm, vitality, and aspiration or appreciation. The solar medicine also contains those elements of experience by which we learn to demonstrate the goodness or righteous of procedures. It forever vitalizes us, extending our lives by extending our interests, our purpose, our vital concerns. The lunar medicine is a negative type of medication that has as its primary purpose to cleanse the individual of accumulated waste. Neurosis complexes are usually based upon memory patterns, and the more deliberating the past memories, the more melancholic the temperament. Consequently, it is very important that the individual should forever release the old and open himself to a new. In Chinese philosophy, to live in the past is to be sick. To build towards the future is to be healthy. I think that is really a good thought. If you choose to look at here. Heart, small intestines, joy, blood vessels, summer heat, fire, tongue, bitter, spleen and stomach, worries. You see what I mean? Earth, metal, pungent, aluminum, dry skin relief, water, cold and winter, ears, salty, bones, fear, kidneys, bladder, liver and gallbladder, anger and lymph nodes and tendons, spring and wind, eyes, sour as wood. So they're associating things with these symbols and these things: earth, metal, water, wood, fire. If you have joy in your life, your blood vessel is going to work good. Overcoming interaction. There's some herbs. Okay, let's get on with this. Because man is a child of heaven and earth, he must even labor to bring his own nature into equilibrium, according to the will of heaven and alchemic formulas of Europe. The universal medicine was compounded from the union of three principles, summarized or symbolized by the sun and the moon, and Mercury. The sun was heaven, signified by gold. The moon was earth, represented by silver. And Mercury was a man, whose emblem was quicksilver, which had the power to reconcile the opposing principles of the sun and the moon. Thus, the human being was pictured as the master chemist. For, like Mercury, he was able to harmonize by wisdom and experience all mysteries of heaven and earth. Mercury thus also stands for the yogic disciplines, which transmute all basic elements and disciplines of meditation. Okay, man's mind performs two labors. With the higher mind, he seeks to understand heaven. Notice we got good food. They're always showing you good, healthy food. Man's mind performs two labors. With this higher mind, he seeks to understand heaven. And with his practical mind, he hopes to bring around reformation of the human society. When both mental functions have been achieved, heaven descends to earth and earth ascends to heaven. If, though the interest or activities the individual neglects heaven, he will be forgotten by heaven. If he fails to keep the harmony between the sun and the moon in his own consciousness, his own life becomes less valuable to him. Man cannot be forced to keep rules and disciplines, but he may learn, though long and painful experiences, that he cannot enjoy the blessings which heaven bestows unless he earns them through self-improvement. You got to improve yourself. That is for sure. In the daily problems of living, we have an opportunity to apply certain principles of Chinese medical philosophy. And one of these principles is to maintain an adequate source of life energy. In Western civilization, we are disturbed by a number of life-draining factors. Locally, for instance, we feel that our air is seriously polluted. We also wonder to what degree discarded chemicals enter our water supply. We wonder about the various refinements and denaturing of our food products. In our efforts to support what the Chinese call the Yang principle, we now super saturated with vitamins, but are still trying desperately to find new sources of energy. The average American is weary from the cradle to the grave. In fact, if he feels at all well, it is just a shock to him that he rushes to his physician because he believes himself to be ill. If we wake up in the morning feeling wonderful, this causes us to feel guilty. Either we are not taking the international news seriously enough, or we are losing contact with the dilemma of existence. And we begin to fear that our sanity is in danger, but we do sense the tremendous need for energy. That is so true. That is so true. We're scared off by our own selves. It is quite possible for us to receive energy, help in the mind, emotions, and consciousness, which does not come through the body. The mysterious experience is most total energy release. Whatever faith or inner enlightenment or understanding comes to our assistance in time of trouble. Okay. Heaven itself is the source of all energy. The individual can adjust his consciousness to the infinite source of light or life and light. It is the attitude of prayerfulness that often results in prayers being answered. If, however, the individual's philosophy of life is inadequate, if his religious life is insufficient, if order has disappeared from his thinking and he lives in a state of perpetual confusion, his energy potentials are reduced to the point where they may in turn be adequate to maintain bodily functions. Life as energy was important to the Chinese. There you go. Notice all the things in the picture here are plant-based. They contain the life of the sun. Let's see. We're going to move on to this. Heaven rewards man for righteousness by bestowing abundance. Heaven punishes him for his misdeeds by taking away from him which he has. If attitudes are wrong, we are reminded of the parable of the vine, which is cut down if it bears no good fruit. The solar principle of heaven reveals that life energy is the most valuable thing in the world and is available to all creatures. Fashioned in the nature and likeness of heaven and its principles, it is not available to those who disobey its principles. To misuse or abuse energy is therefore a sin punishable by misery, sickness, and death. See, so when you really think about it, it's not the Satan that punishes you. It's not the devil that comes out. It's yourself. You didn't get enough of the life-giving energy. You ate too many wrong things. You are just doing, the wrong things. Here's some herbal things that you can look up. 10 healing herbs with medical benefits. And I'm sure you've all seen these things. Ginkgo, ginseng, lavender, St. John's wort, turmeric, ginger, garlic, echinacea, chamomile, ashwagandha. Yeah. Who hasn't had some chamomile tea or taken some echinacea for, when they're sick, or ginseng, or maybe some St. John's wort when they're depressed. Like I said, it's all there. It's all there. We can evade these issues if they were written into our own statute books. We would obey them. But because they are only written in our hearts and minds, we apparently think that we can ignore them. If they were to become laws, we would keep them. But as they are just rules that we must enforce upon ourselves, we neglect them. However, the fact remains that we must keep these rules or suffer the consequences. In our search for life principle, we must realize that energy is the great stream of Tao, as Lo Tao calls it, the eternal life flowing from heaven. Each of us is entitled to an allotment proper to his own requirements. To receive this allotment, we must become receptive, and this receptiveness principle is represented by the moon. The lunar principle is that by which man becomes the gracious recipient of benefit of heaven. By the term gracious recipient, we mean that man becomes worthy of receiving the blessings of heaven. In the old symbolism, we find destiny bestowing and the man kneeling to receive. So there you go. You're getting the gifts that the sun is giving you. And you're bestowed with them. Let's skip on to this. The chummy fractal way in which we are trying to live in the world today is not entirely successful. Some years ago, the Russians decided that they would abolish military rank in the army. Go figure. Well, there's some acupuncture. Okay. After Okay, they would abolish military rank in the army. The general and the private soldier were both to be glorious comrades together. After a short time, practical experience proved that this glorious camaraderie was ridiculous. Man is not intended to assume that there is no need for leadership in life. The problem is to select the right leader and to accept that which is truly superior. Lack of discipline leads only to anarchy. And this is so true in our personal existence. It is hard for us to accept the type of discipline in which we become representative to heaven, bending the knee to acknowledgement to the superior power of God. Yet, Christian scriptures tell us that this truth must become prevalent before the golden age where the second advent is possible. Well, do you think the golden age is coming? Have we done that yet? The lunar principle is a gracious ability to acknowledge and accept the superiority of heaven over our own will and our own purpose. We must recognize that we are children of heaven, and this world is comprised of one great family, and that happiness of the family depends upon its acknowledgement of Father Heaven, Mother Earth, and the immutable laws that which govern all things. Yeah, that's true. Realizing that man cannot know all there is to know about the universe, the Chinese believe that this receptive quietude, this lunar principle, is extremely important as part of the dignity of its being. The individual must cultivate the subtle ability to relax and accept. One way to do this is so that the old Chinese thought was to go into a little bamboo grove, sit quietly, watch life around them, listen to the soughing of the wind through the trees, and mingle their own purposes with universal motions. In Japan, even after a world war and a general confusion of our time, an old custom prevails that is difficult for Westerners to fully understand. On a pleasant, clear night when the moon is full, the Japanese participate in what is called moon watching ceremonies. Friends, neighbors, and relatives sit down together on hillsides, write poems, have refreshments, watch the moon rise. Ain't that nice? In old days, when the clouds formed between patterns in the springtime, the courts of Tokyo and Kyoto went into the countryside and set up camps merely to gaze upon Fuji. Mount Fuji can be seen from a large part of Japan most days of the year. But when it is particularly beautiful, the Japanese stop whatever they are doing and go Fuji gazing in search of spiritual refreshment. Yep. So just taking time for themselves, I guess. That's what it boils down to. A little bit more. Good moonrise is worth seeing because there is natural beauty which moves in upon the individual and makes him feel good. This is what Orientals call moral value. It is regarded as absolute essential to art and culture, health and happiness, and good family relations. Individuals who watch the moon rise and write poems about it are quiet, likely to be pleasant people to live with. It is part of the way of life, which Westerners do not understand. As the moon is also concerned with reflection, this point is especially vital because it is linked with imagery and imagination. Anything which distorts the features will also bear witness to a sickness in the soul of a person. The Chinese philosopher-physician was much aware of this. He would ask a person to sit down quietly and think. The physician would sit a short distance from him and observe the changes in his face. The moment the person's thoughts became unpleasant, the face changed, lines became harder, and a gentle relaxation of the face came way to sadness, bitterness, and harshness. In this way, the physician was in an instance aware of mind affecting matter. He could see how thoughts and emotions move nerves and muscles, causing the individual's appearance to lose its nobility. Chinese physicians also listened to his patients and gave attention to any sudden rise of voice or harsh notes that crept in. He could observe in the voice alone more than 100 different tones, each of which told something about the quality of consciousness which the person was speaking. Huh. Yes. Let's see. We're going to move on to that. Chinese contempt, therefore, is gracious, happy, pleasant, beautiful, and harmonious, continuous in existence. The question arises, if it is lived this way, how long will it last? No one really knows, for as some old scholar said years ago, that it is impossible to tell because no one person has ever been able to get all the way without being angry at least once. Therefore, he has never known how long he might have lived if he had not had that one temper fit. So we cannot say how long, but it is certain of obvious and definite that life could be greatly lengthened. And in spite of the eugenic situation that has plagued China for the last 3,000 years, some of the greatest examples of longevity in the world are found among the Chinese, the old Chinese scholars and mystics, many of whom retain their faculties and senses well above the century point. This is probably because they simply have refused to permit wrong thinking to take over just because they happen to be feeling poorly at the moment. Getting away from tension and stress by cultivating gracious is a manner we can survive in the world in which other people are not gracious. And well said. Anyway, we're getting long in the tooth. Heck, we might have enough here. Well, I don't think so for another show. I think it's just going to go on and talk about observation of man, much sickness in the Western way of life due to feeling of uselessness. And the worst sufferers are those who lack insight to dedicate their hearts and minds to constructive, creative activities. It is not enough to have the technical knowledge necessary to maintain a standard of living. Yeah. So with all of that, I hope that gives you something to think about. So we're going to go through some of these pictures I got. Here's, look at, you can tell by the food you eat. It's maybe too hot food could cause a headache, insomnia, dry skin, anxiety, sore throat. Eat seasonal foods that balance the season. In cold weather, eat hot and warm foods. In mid-weather, eat cool and warm foods. In hot weather, eat cold and cool foods. Chinese cuisine often balances hot ingredients with cold ones, and vice versa. For example, bean sprouts with chili, tofu with raw onions, shellfish with ginger and chili. Too much cold food can cause fatigue, poor appetite, lightheadedness, colds, weak pulse, insomnia, white coating on the tongue. So that's what you can get by eating too many cold food. Here's how they get them in the big bags. Herbal teas you can try. Wolfberry, jubal tea. I don't know how to pronounce that one. Mint tea, scallion and ginger tea, hawthorn tea, cascadia tea, ginseng tea. I think I've had about half of these myself. And I think I ran out of slides to show you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. We're running into our half hour already. I do love doing these shorter broadcasts. They really are fun. And thank you all for coming tonight. It's been a blast. And remember, like my shirt says, be the frequency you want to receive, right? I hope you all had a good time at Christmas and the happy holidays here. If you're watching this later in the future, this is about the middle of winter. But anyway, thank you all for coming tonight. It's good to learn about these things. Teas are really good for you. I come to think of that, I'm gonna go make me some herbal tea right now. With that said, go out, do something nice for somebody. Make yourself some tea and be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love y'all. Peace, everybody.